Before we start our presentation, I'd like to ask you a quick question. How much does a polar bear weigh? Enough to break the ice. Hi, how are you doing? I'm Adonis Ponce, and I'm here with Gardner, Nedd, and Slathan Schneider. And I'm going to talk to you today about energy in Japan. Here we have our table of contents of everything specifically that we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about location, background, economic history, variations of energy, energy uses, energy attainment, importation and exportation, government impact, oil companies, international trade, world energy market, why renewable energy types, future of Japan's energy use, and lastly our summary. Japan is an island in Southeast Asia located east of the Korean Peninsula. It is surrounded by the Pacific Ocean to the east and the Sea of Japan to the west. Japan has a population of about 127.3 million. There are about 336 people per square kilometer due to the relatively small size of the nation. Because Japan's oil resources are very limited, the country relies almost solely on imports to meet its oil consumption needs. Nuclear power is a large part of Japan's energy production. Japan typically was self-sufficient in the early 1900s due to low energy demand within the nation. Following World War II, industrial growth increased, causing a rise in demand and a need for imported energy resources. Over the years, Japan has become extremely dependent upon imported goods, and this dependence triggered a trade deficit in Japan's economy. Currently, this deficit is the equivalent to about 4.84 trillion yen, or about $48.7 billion.
Following World War II, Japan underwent industrial growth, doubling the country's energy consumption. Energy consumption then doubled every 5 years well into the 1990s. By 1976, Japan, with only 3% of the global population, consumed 6% of the world's energy resources. While Japan had previously relied on nuclear energy to support the energy demand, the Fukushima disaster deterred the use of reactors, causing an even larger demand for resources, such as imported coal, oil, and liquefied natural gas. While Japan still heavily relies on import, there has been action to increase the production and use of renewable energy resources. Japan consumes different types of energy, such as oil, which includes gasoline, middle distillates, and heavy fuel oil, coal, natural gas, primarily liquefied natural gas, nuclear energy, electrical energy, which is primarily fueled by the combination of nuclear, natural gas, coal, and oil, and renewable energy. Japan's primary energy is used towards transportation. For example, vehicles and locomotives across Japan, who are also large consumers of petroleum products. The vehicle and train usage has a direct correlation with the transport of citizens and operations among the residential sector. Industrial processes. Considering the industrial sector is a key consumer of energy resources. Due to the Fukushima nuclear reactor disaster and the reduced usage of nuclear power, crude oil and low sulfur fuel oil have been the main substitute to stifle the missing influx of nuclear energy. The residential sector, seeing as oil and natural gas are contributed to the electrical production that provide heat and power to citizens and businesses. There is a large demand for kerosene in homes and utilities as a source of heat inside the residential sector. Japan obtains energy from their domestic extraction of their petroleum resources, as well as the importation of goods. Natural gas is a primary energy source that gets transported internationally to Japan. Energy is also obtained from renewable resources and nuclear reactors. Importation and exportation is a large part of the Japanese economy. Some major Japanese imports are liquefied natural gas, electricity and electrical related machinery, natural coal, and net oil. Some of the major exports are vehicles, machinery, electronic equipment, and iron and steel.
Japan spends large amounts of money on the importation of oil. They import oil and other natural gas products through liquefaction terminals. The Japanese government has put a large amount of money into the research and development of shale oil in North America. Japan's National Oil Corporation, formed by the Japanese government in 1967, dominated Japan's oil sector until 2004, charged with promoting oil exploration and production overseas and domestically. Japan Oil, Gas and Metals National Corporation, state-run enterprise formed in 2004, charged with aiding Japanese companies involved in exploration and production overseas and promoting of commodities stockpiling domestically, took over many of JNOC's activities. INPEX, Japan's largest oil and gas company, formed in 1966. Japan Petroleum Exploration Company, JPEX, established in 1955. Asia, major source of exports: Taiwan, Hong Kong, South Korea, Singapore, Indonesia, and other Southeast Asia countries. Middle East, major source of imports: Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates. Minor source of imports: Iraq, Iran, and Kuwait. Japan is the third biggest importer of oil products. Japan is the second largest importer of coal, also the leading importer of liquefied natural gas.
Renewable energy processes lessen the environmental toll. This reduces the rate of global warming. This also stabilizes energy costs. Renewable energy also reduces carbon dioxide emissions. The types of renewable energy Japan utilizes are hydroelectricity, geothermal, solar, wind, ocean, and waste and biomass. The goal of Japan is to have 20% of all energy be produced from renewable resources by the year 2020. The increased use of tidal dams allows for the influx of hydroelectric power from the sea. Japan also plans to reduce nuclear energy production. Increased solar production is also planned in Japan's future. While Japan is increasing its production of renewable resources, it is still utterly dependent upon importation. This causes economic deficits, as well as detrimental environmental effects.